What up, y'all? Just want to let you guys know that I love gold, specifically rivers of it. Welcome to our next Top 100. Welcome back, everybody, to 9 to 5 Gamers. Today is our next video of our top 100, and we're in the top 2, which is the 20s to like 11, 20 to 11. Yeah. And so this list is absolute bangers. Next week's list is going to be amazing banger. I don't think that was any better. But anyways, these are absolutely great games, all of the games on this list. And so I want you guys to go ahead in the comment section, let me know some of your favorite like top 20 games that have made it into your top 100. Do you even do a top 100? Let me know in the comments. But don't forget, as always, like this video, subscribe to support, because the more subscribers we have, I don't know, something probably magical happens, but liking the video is very helpful because it helps with the algorithm and it helps get this video out to more people. But with all of that said, I want to take you into this list. Don't forget, also, if you'd like to subscribe, if you'd like to become a member of the channel, that is a way that you can support the channel financially. That's a really good way to support this channel. And so we have, like, you could do like $1 a month. It's only like $12 a year to support if you'd like to do it that way. Or if you're feeling a little more generous and you're like, hey, look, I can afford a little more, we got other options, 3, 5, 10, whatever you want to give. We appreciate it here at the channel. So don't forget, check it out. We got memberships in YouTube. You can check out my Patreon or check out my Ko-Fi. Either way, it all goes to the channel. It all helps us to continue to produce great content for you guys. So let's get into this list without further ado. The White Castle, number 20. The White Castle. White Castle is amazing, man. The White Castle is like, and I know I can't be the only person that, like, when I heard the White Castle, I was like, isn't that the burger spot? But I don't know if anybody eats there anymore, but I remember White Castle growing up. Like, when we went to New York and stuff, we loved White Castle. Now I'm hungry. But White Castle is actually and nothing to do with burgers. It's literally a game where you are climbing up this like tower, and the goal of the game, it's like a dice placement game where you're trying to score points in different ways. There's these different bridges with dice. You're gonna draft those dice or take those dice off of those bridges, and then you get to place them onto like worker placement spots. And the value matters when placing them. Like, there's so much strategy to this game, and with the new matcha expansion, it adds another bridge at the bottom with some extra spots and different things you can do with tea. There's like a warrior area where you could place some of your like workers and things like that. It's really, really interesting. And so there's like workers that go into like this little temple, and then you got to move your way up the different floors of the temple, try to get to the top because there's a lot of coins and points up there. It's a really, really great game. I love this game, and like first time I played it, I understood it once the game ended. I was like, okay, now this makes sense. And I was like, let's run this back. But it's a great game, man. Like, White Castle is assuredly one of the greatest games that came out in the last like year or two. And if you haven't played it, it's by Devere. It's a great game. Pick yourself up a copy. It's not super expensive. Just remember that as soon as you take all the components out of the game box, they're not going to go back in the same way that they came in. And it's going to have maybe a little bit of box lift, but it's a beautiful game. It's well produced. I love the game. Fantastic. And it's not bad for the price. I think you can get this game for like $40, which is fantastic. Number 19, Lost Ruins of Arnak. I love this game. It is a worker placement, deck builder, not so much deck building. I don't think the deck building in this game is nearly as important as it is in like Dune Imperium or a game like that. But there were 3 games that came out that were like deck builder worker placement games. There was Lost Ruins of Arnak, there was Dune Imperium, and then there was Endless Winter. And Endless Winter I thought was fine. I don't think it even made my list. It was okay. I didn't enjoy it as much. I need to replay it though to get a full like understanding of that game. But definitely Arnak and Dune were very, very close. I know that a friend of mine, David, he really loves this game. This is like his favorite game of all time. He got all the expansions, and they have like leaders expansions, which give everybody their own asymmetric like player that they play as, that's leader, and they have different powers and stuff like that. It's really cool. There's a campaign for the game now where you can run through a campaign. It's just a cool game where you're collecting resources, you're fighting big monsters, and then as you fight these monsters, you get more stuff. You go up on this track on the side of the board, and there's just like a lot of cool ways to earn points and things like that, and that's how you win the game, is by getting these things up on a track and getting to the top of it. So it's really, really fun. I love the game. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't played it in a while, but I know that the plays that I have had of it have cemented this game into my top 20, and it used to be in like top 10, but it has slipped over the years. So Lost Ruins of Arnak definitely needs another playthrough to see if it's still worthy of being in the top 20, but it's definitely up there. I really like it. That's my number 19, actually. Number 18 is a game called Root. This has really fallen a lot because this has always been one of my favorite games, if not my #1 game of all time. And for whatever reason, I think the reason that it's fallen so low, because you've seen my top 100s and my top 10s, you know Root has always been up there. This is a hard game to table, man. Like, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It's like, if you play this game, this is not a game you teach to new people. You want to play this consistently with people who have already played it before. In order to get them there, you have to play it with them the first time and teach them. Teaching is kind of a nightmare. You got to teach how the game kind of works, like the fundamental rules. And then once you teach like the fundamental rules, you're like, okay, and those are all the rules of the game. Now, you're the bird people, and the bird people win this way, and then this is how you win. And then when you play cards, it works this way, not like this guy. This guy doesn't do that. He actually gets rid of his card. It's like, man, unless you're like I said this before, and I feel like it's still a bad statement, but like a hardcore gamer or hardcore game enthusiast, you would probably like the game. But if the people you're playing with are not, they're going to have a rough time. I've seen memes of this on the internet. I've seen TikToks of a guy explaining Root to all of his friends, and they're recording, and they're just laughing because they're like, what the heck are we getting into right now? And this guy is like, his heart is in it, man. You see him trying. He's like, now these people are like, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. But I think that's the reason why this game has dropped. The game is not bad. As a matter of fact, for me, it's a 10 out of 10. When I play this with people who know how to play, oh, what a great time. It's area control, asymmetry. Like, there's so many different expansions that add so many different factions that you can play as that play so much differently than all the other factions. A lot of replay value in this game. But I don't know how often you'll replay it. That's the problem. It's like getting this to the table, you have to play with the same group consistently. So I'd say it's very niche and specific to a certain type of gamer. If you have a gaming group that you teach this to, they love it, and they say, I would love to play this like every month. Just come over to the house and play Root at least once a month. Then that's pretty solid. Then all power to you. This is the game for you. But if you're a type of person that's just constantly cycling between games, trying out new games, playing with friends, but these friends are a little bit more on the lighter side of gaming, not a game for you. But I love Root, but it has fallen quite a bit. It's almost out of my top 20, so I'm like, please, no. I love Root so much, but it's my number 18 for now. Number 17 is a new game, Evenfall. I played this at Dice Tower, and I loved it. I bought a copy, played it 2 or 3 more times. I love this game. For whatever reason, this game clicked for me. This was one of those games that I played it my first time, and the first time that I learned how to play it, I was like, so then this does this does this, and this does this? Yeah? Okay. All right, so I'm going to do this, and I just popped off. And every game that I've played, I haven't lost. Like, I'm just... It's one of those games that it just clicks for you and you get it. I don't get that with a lot of games, but for whatever reason, this game just clicked with me. I don't like the theme of it because, like, I'm not big into, like, games that have to do with, like, witchcraft and stuff like that. I really don't like them. And so but this game, for whatever reason, just, like, I love the mechanics of this game so much, it's hard for me to not want to play it so often. But if you're asking for yourself and you're saying, hey, how heavy is the theme? I mean, in the theme, in the cards, all of your workers are like little witches and wizards and things like that. It's got worker placement. It's got area control. It's got this interesting system where you're putting cards into your outer circle. And when they're in your outer circle, they produce resources for you. And then at a certain point in the game, you can shift them down to your inner circle, and then you score points on them. And so that's the whole point of this is, how do I get points? I got to take cards from my outer circle and shift them to my inner circle. And that's how I score points. But at the same time, I need the resources they produce so I can play more cards into like my tableau here. But there's worker placement spots on these little boards where you can buy new locations and then you enchant those locations with spells and things like that. So yeah, there is a little bit of that theme in there. So if you're uncomfortable with that, I could totally understand that. But for the most part, I don't feel like it's so deeply ingrained in it that you just feel weird playing it. I just loved playing this game. And it's such an interesting fact. All of the different things you can do are so interesting as far as like the mechanics with the cards that you're playing. They have abilities that do different things and interact with other people's boards. So it's like, hey, this card gives me this ability. Okay, I have a card that copies that ability and I'm going to do that. So it's really, really cool, man. For the most part, it's just kind of like solo, you're doing your own thing. But I love Evenfall, man. It's such a good game. Definitely a game worth trying. Number 16. This is the gold member reference that I gave at the beginning of this video. The I love gold, the look of it, the smell of it, the texture. This game made me love gold, and that's River of Gold. This is a game that just came out like this year or maybe last year, and now it's like getting out there. Oh my gosh, this is from Legends of the Five Rings, like that LCG that came out a while ago, but like this has nothing. It literally feels like it has nothing to do with that series, because I've played the Legends of the Five Rings LCG. I didn't really enjoy it that much, and I was like, it's fine. I think it's cool, but this game, River of Gold, is a Le Havre, but much more approachable and easy to play, and it's so good, man. Like there's like a river, and then you're placing little shops on this river, and then when people land in the area where your shops are, you get resources every time somebody lands there. When you land there, you get the resources on both sides, because like each shop has an inner resource and an outer resource. So it's like if somebody lands there, they get the inside resource, you get the outside. But if you land there, you get both. And there's a ton of ways to score points. There's goals you have to go after. There's asymmetric player powers. If you play with those cards, you don't have to. So it's like optional to do the asymmetry part, but I think it just adds to the experience. For whatever reason, I don't know that this game does anything new. I don't know that this game mechanically is better than any other game. The thing I can say about River of Gold, it is just fun. Like people are like, oh, best game of the year. I wouldn't even say that. I would not say this is a 10 out of 10. I wouldn't say this is a perfect game. I wouldn't even say like everybody should play this game. Actually, I would say that. Everybody should play this game. This game is just fun. This game is the most fun I have had playing a game in a very long time. I'm sad that it's this low on my list, because it could definitely be top 10, but now I'm looking at my top 10 and I'm like, never mind, I'm just gonna take that back. But River of Gold is so good, y'all. You'll need to play this game. It is so much fun. And there's some people that are like, I don't get the hype. People hyped it up for me too much, and now I don't think it's that good. And it's like, I think people are looking at it from like these eyes of like, you know, like, oh, I've got to look at every single little mechanic and things like that. If you look at it that way, that's what I'm saying. It's not a perfect game at all. I just have so much fun. I'm not even kidding, y'all. Like, I think I have played this game in the double digits, and I haven't even had it that long. I think that I have gotten more than 10 plays of this in the few months that I've had this game. I have played it so much, especially on BGA. It's on BGA. You can play it there. I love this game, man. I'm not even going to say anything else. It's just good. It's good. Don't care what anybody says. I love it, and I wish it was in my top 10. But it's not a perfect game. But anyways, number 15. Number 15 is Andromeda's Edge. Ooh. Dwellings of Eldervale, man. You have your work cut out for you. It's made by the same guy, so I'm just like, he's competing against himself. He literally checkmated himself with this one. I objectively think Andromeda's Edge is better than Dwellings of Eldervale, but I have not played Andromeda's Edge enough to make that claim just yet. A lot of people are making those claims already. I can articulate that argument for them. That's what I'm hearing. I objectively think it's got some things in it that make it better, but I've only played this game maybe twice. And my first two playthroughs of it have already cemented it. It's like it's top 20 for sure. There's no way. I think it may be better than Dwellings of Eldervale, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to wait till I play it a few more times to make sure. But Andromeda's Edge is fantastic. It is an outer space. I don't even know how to... There is so much in this game. I don't even know how to describe it other than it's in space. You have your own asymmetric faction that is trying to get their pieces out on the board, and you're trying to gain resources. You spend those resources to inhabit different areas on the board. There's enemy ships that come and attack you. It's kind of like the monsters from Dwellings of Eldervale. If you play Dwellings of Eldervale, very similar, but they have improved upon some of the mechanics, including some of the like battling systems. Makes it a little bit better, because in Dwellings of Eldervale, it was rough, because it was like, and it's not bad because I still love the game, but like when you would roll, it's like I'm rolling 5 dice and I roll all of my dice and I get a bunch of 3s and 2s, and then my opponent rolls 1 dice, they roll a 6, and they're like, I win. And I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that I spent a bunch of resources to get extra dice in this battle, and they still beat me because it's all just luck. You know what I mean? So, but Andromeda's Edge with their targeting systems and different things like that has worked on that and made that a little bit better. And so, but it's basically Dwellings of Eldervale. It's the same, almost the same game, but slight differentiations. It's in space, different theme, but beautiful game. I love it. I need to play it more, but I love Andromeda's Edge so far. Very good game. Number 14, Terraforming Mars with Prelude expansion. Just like I said with Viticulture, you need the Prelude expansion for this one. But Terraforming Mars is an amazing game, and it's just basically like this big old tableau builder with all of these different abilities that you get on these cards, and you're trying to terraform Mars. You're trying to increase the heat of the planet. You're trying to make it hotter. You're trying to make sure that there's plenty of plant life and water and different things like that. And so you're making Mars habitable, And the way you do it is with cards and different things like that, and using resources that you gain through production. And whoever does that the best is the winner, which is really, really cool. Terraforming Mars takes a very long time to play. If you get the Prelude expansion, it cuts out like a good portion of the boring part of the beginning of the game. I think base game, like it takes a while like for you to get going. And so you'll like get cards, but all the cards are too expensive, and you're like, I play this, it gives me something green, you know, like that's fine. But like it's so slow at the beginning that it's kind of like a slog. But then when you add the Prelude expansion, it boosts you up with a whole bunch of stuff at the beginning of the game and gets you right into the place where you could be like, I could play some of the more complicated, complex cards to terraform the planet a little more. And so I think that that's a much better way to get into this game. So always buy Terraforming Mars with the Prelude expansion. It's not more complicated. It makes the game a lot easier, and I won't play it without it, unfortunately. But Terraforming Mars is great. If you like Ares Expedition, you can switch them out. I think that the Ares Expedition plays better at like 1 or 2 players, and Terraforming Mars is better at the 3-player, 4-player count. But it does take a while. But it's a really good game. I love Terraforming Mars. It'll always be one of my favorites. But I feel like it's slipping, boy. It's that 14th spot. So I need to play it again. I haven't played it in a little bit, but it's a good game. Number 13 has slipped just a little. Spirit Island. Spirit Island is an asymmetric game where everybody plays as a different spirit. They're like the gods of this island. And there's the natives, the Dahan, who live in these little huts on the island. And then there's colonizers, people who are coming in to take over the land and to make it theirs. But as the spirits of that island, you and your companions are cooperating to get rid of these colonizers. And the way that you're choosing to do that is because you're a spirit, you can't really like interact with people. So like the way that you do it is by using the Dahan to fight for you. And so you kind of influence them to go in and fight. And then at the same time, you can cause like natural occurrences, natural disasters and things like that to take out cities. And your goal is to put fear into the colonizers to make them leave. And so there's a bunch of different scenarios, ways that you can play it, a lot of different spirits that you can play as. And it's a really fun game. I will say, just like Root, this is not an easy game to play. It's not an easy game to get to the table. I think the rules are simple enough to teach, and you could teach people how to play this and they'll be like, oh, sounds easy. But once they get that hand of cards, they're like, so I got a turtle and I got a bird. What does that do? It's like, well, birds you can play before the settlers move. Turtle cards you play after the settlers move, so they're more reactive, and these are more proactive. You're preventing them from doing stuff. These, you're reacting to what they do. So that, and then my card interacts with you, like I can move somebody. Do you want me to move you? Well, I don't need to move right now. Does anybody need to move? Okay. But it's all a lot of table talk. It takes a lot of communication, and it can be kind of tough to get new players into it. It's a very complex game. Once you get that, like I said, that it's that hand of cards. And then you're building that hand of cards because you can like upgrade your spirit. And when you start upgrading them, you start adding new cards to like your hand of cards. And then you've got that whole system of, I'm going to play a card, play a card, play a card. Once I did, I could get them all back into my hand and bring them back and play them again. It's really good. I like this game. I will always love Spirit Island. For me, it was a 10 out of 10 game as well as Root. But I am super happy to play this game anytime because it's super good. Next one on my list is Heat Pedal to the Metal. This is like my favorite racing game of all time. Just because it feels the most thematic, and it feels like that high risk, high reward, I'm gonna go fast type of style of play. So the way that Heat works is that you have a hand of cards, and these hands of cards have different point values on them. So you'll have like a card that says like a 3, a 2, a 1, a 4, and then that is the number of spaces you will move forward. So on your turn, you're allowed to play cards from your hand, but you have to shift your gear into how many cards you want to play. So if you're in first gear, you can play 1 card. If you're in second gear, you can play 2 cards. If you're in fourth gear, you can play 4 cards. And so if you got a bunch of high cards in your hand, you got like a 4, a 3, another 4, and another 3. You got 2 3s and 2 4s. You're like, I'm going to go into fourth gear because then that'll let me move, like 14 spaces, and then I can and just floor it. But once you start getting around the turns, there's like a speed check where it's like if you go over the speed limit at that corner, meaning the cards you play add up to a bigger total than what's printed on the board, then you'll spin out of control, you'll put a lot of stress on your engine, and you'll gain stress cards, you'll burn out. It's really, really cool. So you gotta kind of like downshift and go into a lower gear in order to take the turns at a slower pace, but then you can shift it right back up. You can put stress onto your engine to try to shift into a higher gear and just take off. It's really, really fun. I think thematically it's really good, and it's not hard to play. Like you can like teach the game as you play through like the first like lap of the race, and then once you get past that first lap, everybody's like, Everybody know what they're doing? Last lap of the race, and then everybody's just trying to fight each other. You can draft off of each other to get in front. Really, really cool game. I love Heat Pedal to the Metal, and it's got expansion, so can't go wrong with that one. My number 11 is Dwellings of Eldervale. Like I said, I like this better. I don't need to talk too much about it, because if you never played Dwellings, it's just basically this game where you have workers, your worker placing them, you're getting resources, and you're just trying to turn your workers, because like each worker has these little caps, so you're trying to turn your workers into little huts, because they get these little hats that you put on them, and you turn them into huts, and that's how you're going to score points at the end of the game. There's a lot of ways for you to score. That's one of the main mechanics of the game, is sacrificing my workers to make them huts, which they stay on the board permanently, so you have less workers to work with now. So you got to build up a nice system of getting resources and things like that, so you can continue to put your little players out on the board. Dwellings of Elder is really cool. Dwellings of Elder is really cool. It's got a cool fantasy theme. I feel like Andromeda's Edge is going to pass it up, but I need to play Andromeda's Edge more. But I still like Dwellings of Eldervale. Still a really good game. That's why it's my number 11. If you've never played this game, big box, super expensive. They're printing them out now a lot more, so it's going to be a little easier for you to find this game. I was a little disappointed by the monster figures. Like, they have like these monster figures that they're like huge, really well made monster miniatures, and then they go on these bases that like make noise when you move them and stuff like that, and they light up. It's like super fancy and really overproduced. And I remember going and saying, yo, these things are gonna be so cool. And then once we got them out, I was like, oh, so you can't like control them. They're just there to like take up space, and that's basically what they do. And you just kind of keep away from them unless you're trying to like kill it, or you have to go to a space and fight the thing. But it's like most of the time, it's like I don't feel like I wanted to do that, and there was no reason for me to do that. And I just felt like it was like an overly produced figure for a part of the game that's not really that big of a part. At least that didn't feel like it for me, but maybe I'm wrong. But I love Dwellings of Eldervale. It's still a really good game. I enjoyed it a lot. Let me know in the comment section, what are your favorite games? What games have you played and have just been loving this year? Let me know in the comment section, and don't forget to support the channel by subscribing. A lot of people haven't subscribed. Trying to get to 20K. I really want to get to 20,000 subs. I think that would be awesome, and you can help me get there. We're almost there. We're still in 11,000, like 200s, so want to see myself get up to at least the 12,000 range. So continue to subscribe and continue to share these videos with your friends and family, and that's pretty much it, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget, if you want to support the channel, become a member. Click that link. You get a lot of cool perks by doing that. Eventually, once we get enough members, I'm going to be giving out games on my membership, but we need some people who want to help jumpstart this process, so be a part of that. Go ahead and become a member of the channel. You can check me out on Patreon or Ko-Fi if you want to give me a bigger percentage of that money, but if you want to just do it through YouTube, you can. But love you guys. Have a good one. See you guys later.